Okay, you know what I'm gonna do real quick? Let me set this up, turn off chest, turn off my heater. We're gonna disable Bluetooth. And then I actually have a microphone, so let's see if that'll work today. I probably should have done this all beforehand, but I think maybe YouTube might have changed the way that live streams work, but it sent me like straight directly to going live. So I guess we'll see if this works. Okay, just give me 1 second to test. Um, Give me 1 second to test if this mic is working, and then we'll be good. Okay. So I apologize for the wait. Just 1 second. Let's see. Does this work? Let's see. Does this work? Okay, I think it's working. It's kind of loud. Okay, I think it's working. It's kind of loud. Okay, it's working. Okay, I'm gonna find one spot to put my microphone, and then we're gonna start painting. I think this is good. I don't want to keep fooling around all day with this microphone. But here we are. We're still working on this painting. It's definitely my biggest painting I've done. And it was going good for a little bit. And then I kind of ran into some likeness issues with the face. So that's kind of an issue, but I think once we kind of pull everything around, it'll be all right. This is the reference too. It's kind of low res, but I think that's honestly for the best. I don't want too high res an image. Then everything is like all the information's already there. So this one should work. Put this here. Okay. So before we start, this is my palette. I'm working with some gesso. I have white, red, yellow ochre, I think sap green, a burnt sienna, and a black. Pretty much all I need. Oh, I do need ultramarine blue, but probably won't need that right now. I got it. Oh, here it is. Okay, here's the tube of blue. I forgot I had this. Okay, let's see. There we go. One issue I was also having with the painting is that when the paint gets really thick, it gets kind of hard to apply, at least like in a way that doesn't have a bunch of bristle hairs in it and brush strokes running throughout it. So I'm going to see if I can't kind of work around that. I'm going to check one more time the audio. Okay, yeah, that's okay. I think I can speak kind of softly as well because the microphone's so close to my face. Que legal, tus adoro su arte. Thank you. Gracias. That's so funny. I've been practicing Spanish, so it is nice to get a Spanish comment. Uh, Mi español no muy bueno, pero uh, pero I'm trying my best. Maybe I should bring you guys closer to the face. Yeah, I'm gonna bring you guys in a bit. And then I can see the comments too. So yeah, I'm thinking that I might have a sizing issue as well. I'm thinking I might have an issue with the face being slightly too small. But let's see. Let's see. I mean, it looks okay. I think it'll look better when I really get everything filled out. I'm gonna mix a darker version of this color. Let's see. It's also raining outside, so that might be some ASMR. I don't know if you guys can hear that, especially with the microphone. A momentary narration. A moment. I think this microphone is really loud. I have to speak nice and soft, which I guess is good. I don't know if you guys have this, but in my normal life, I feel like I speak a lot louder and with a lot more intensity than I would like to. So I guess this is good practice with speaking soft and slow. Okay. This is kind of a I in one of my shorts I said this was a really easy portrait because the lighting was so clear, but I keep struggling with it for some reason. And now I have to laugh at myself because I was saying how easy of a portrait this would be. Darken all this up. Okay, so a problem we're having is he's looking too much this way. And in reality, he's really looking like this way and not this way, if that makes any sense to you guys. Um, his eyes need to be looking like kind of this way. I don't know how else to explain it, but more towards you rather than more towards me. Okay. I also think something is going on with this eye's placement. It's really raining a lot right now. I think I would say ahora ahora es aguacera. Is that how you say it? We're adding some more darkness in here. This is kind of a deeper red. And what's funny about the Spanish is that during high school, or during most of high school, I took Chinese. So I like really enjoyed learning Chinese. Um, but then as I got a little older, well, first when I transferred high schools, they didn't have Chinese, so I had to switch, and the choices were like Latin, French, or Spanish. And so I decided to go with Spanish. But I really did not enjoy that class. Well, I did at some points, but I didn't enjoy. I guess I didn't enjoy my life at that point. It was less about the. It was really less about the class and more about where I was at in general. But I could have learned a lot if I would have like actually taken some of that to heart in that class and actually focused. But I didn't really. I kind of just did enough to pass. That's why I feel like schools should do more. And maybe this isn't even the truth. Maybe even if they did this, I would have still had the same result. But I feel like I would really like if schools did more of like life exploration stuff of like, what do you want your life to be like after this? So what kind of classes will you actually take? Instead of like, um, just what kind of job do you want? I don't even know if that makes sense, but I feel like if I had done a little bit of deep diving into my soul and into like what my interests actually were at the time, um, I think I might have been better off. And that's more of a me issue, I think. So, but still, I think that could have been helpful. And like if I ever have kids, that's gonna be, I think that'll be an early thing to think about. Is like, what do you want your life to kind of look like? Okay, we're kind of straying off from the reference here at this little bit, but we need to, there you go, put that there. I was kind of worried when I came on stream. I'm sorry, I have to check one more time to see if the audio is all right. Okay, the audio is good. I don't know. I don't know why I'm so obsessed about this audio. Kind of like that I can speak softly today. Usually I have to yell and scream and just kidding. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I feel like if I ever somehow stumbled upon having children in my life, um, that would be a big focus for me, is to like ask them what do they like actually want their life to think to be like, or like what kind of things are they like really passionate about? Because like getting through school is cool and like having good grades is cool, but that's kind of like, in my mind at least, it's kind of secondary to like what do you actually want your life to be like? Because I've been trying to read more about people I respect, and the one thing that consistently shows up, I might actually make a video about this because this is something I've actually really been interested in. But one thing that I recognize consistently comes up when I read about people that are like high level at what they do and they really love what they do, um, is that in a sort of kind of way, they almost like neglect any other part of their life. Like one artist I really like, Joaquin Sorolla. He's a Spanish artist, I believe. I almost want to say French, but I'm pretty sure he's Spanish. Um, there was an interview he had where he was talking about someone. I think someone asked him like, um, what did he want to be when he grew up, and he said like he said, I'm going to paraphrase, of course, but he's saying that if you would have looked at me at any point in my life, you would have never, or you would have known that there's nothing I ever wanted to be besides a painter. At every part of his life, like he would rather be painting than doing school, or rather be painting than doing this, or rather be painting than doing that. And even another artist that I like, rest in peace, but Kim Jong Il. I heard a little bit about his story growing up. Now he was not very good in school and didn't really care much about academics and stuff, and um, he would like spend his time not doing his homework, and he would spend his time focusing on like looking at objects and drawing them and like just playing with his imagination. And that's just a consistent thing I see, that like people who are doing what they really love to do rather than like what society wants of them, are people that tend to have neglected other parts of like the normal world. Another one that's very different, but I've been watching a lot of chess recently. I think chess might have gotten really popular all of a sudden. But of course, pretty sure Magnus Carlsen is like the just best chess player. Well, arguably like one of the best chess players. Arguably the best chess player. Actually, I don't even know what he said, but I'm pretty sure his story would go along with that. In that maybe he's not even like this crazy smart mathematical genius, but that he just loves chess more than doing other things. So I actually don't even know if that's true, but I would assume. I might have just made that up. But like I think the notion still holds. And sometimes when I think about stuff like that, it makes me think like um, that I'm kind of behind because I've spent all this time doing other stuff that I don't care about. Like I spend all this other time doing schoolwork, and I spend all this time doing like um, I don't know, like all this stuff, like applying to colleges and applying to all this stuff and doing science homework and doing all this stuff. It almost seems like it would be more worthwhile for me because of what I want my life to look like if I had just not done any of that and solely focused on like the stuff I want to do. But you know, I could argue both ways. I could argue that it's smart to dabble in a little bit of everything, or I could also argue that dedicating your life fully to one thing is better. Being a specialist. But yeah, I guess that's really what it comes down to. Being a specialist or being a generalist who's good at a lot of things. I'm gonna mix up. So I've really been using like really similar colors. Um, been using really similar colors for this whole portrait so far. Nothing's been too crazy. And this is the biggest, I think you guys know, this is like the biggest painting I've ever done. So I kind of want to be, and you know what's crazy? Even though this is the biggest portrait I've ever done, this is like a relatively small portrait. Like this is like this is the biggest canvas I've ever painted on, and most of it's sky. Like most of it is the sky. So I would like to find something to make the sky interesting. I have an idea. I have an idea, but nothing set in stone yet. Okay, I think I missed some comments. I think education and teachers should focus on and encourage students' talents and strengths. For sure. For sure. Yeah, I wish education was more, but I guess that's kind of hard. I think that might be more of a parent's job. Not unfortunately, but I guess unfortunately for most of us because I don't think that's something that like parents a lot of times have time to really. I don't know, maybe I'm just making excuses, but I think it could be easy to like just encourage a kid to do like the baseline of what's good instead of like what might be most rewarding for them. But I was always encouraged to do art, but I don't know if it was ever. Yeah, I don't know if it was ever like you should go to school for art. But even then, I don't know if I would have done that. I don't, I don't even know. This is what happens. I'll have like arguments with myself. Not even arguments, but I'll go back and forth like on a single issue with myself and like come to no conclusion. Great painting. Love how you painted the cloak. Thank you. The cloak is going to change a lot. The cloak is going to really change. Um, Thanks, Ash. I don't know if you guys can hear, but it's raining really loud outside. Ash, that's completely okay. You're working 3 jobs now since we last talked. You're working 7 jobs, 24/7. You're working with troubled youth from 9 to 5, and then from 5 to 10, you're working at the NASA space station, and then at 10 to and then and then from 10 to 7, you're working at the hospital helping parents uh, give birth. So I know you're very busy, Ash. Okay. I don't know if I want to really show his eye. That does sound really bad. Like I feel like being and maybe someone will be able to help us out with this. Maybe there's a nurse in the chat. But I feel like being a what's it called? I was gonna say an optician, but that's an eye doctor. I'm pretty sure. What's the not a gynecologist? Which doctor is the one that helps people give birth? Well, whatever it is, I feel like that would be a really like non-rewarding kind of job because it is nice to see people get born and like you're part of that whole thing, like this person's life, you're a part of that. But at the same time, like I don't think anybody ever goes back to their doctor that helped them give birth and say thank you. Obstetrician. Okay, I was close. I'm surprised I was even that close. Um, but yeah, I feel like you hear stories where it's like, oh yeah, my my younger sister had her umbilical cord caught around her neck, so they had to cut her out upside down, and then they had to like flip her upside down, and they had to do CPR on her 17 times, and then they had to do the Heimlich on her because she was covered in amniotic fluid. You always hear, you guys know what I mean? Like you always hear those stories of like, oh yeah, we're like twins, and I was strangling my brother when I came out. Like somebody had to stop that. I don't know if they get the credit they deserve necessarily. I don't know. That's a random tangent to be on. Okay, I need to figure out a value for right here, and I need a smaller brush as well. These are some of my brushes for today. Oops. These are my brushes. Let's see what I got. I got flat. That's kind of nice, but it's kind of short. This brush is really hard. This brush came in a set, I'm pretty sure, literally when I first started painting. I think this paintbrush literally came in the same set of like AliExpress brushes my sister got me for Christmas from like 4 or 5 years ago when I first started painting. So I guess we should use this one. I don't know why that's where my mind first went, but I feel like they deserve more credit. But you know why? I think that's where my mind goes because that's my favorite part in movies. Like, if you've ever seen I Am Legend, where um, Will Smith like goes throughout this whole journey and fights these zombies and does all this stuff, and then at the end of it, he gives his life to protect this woman so that she can make it out with his experiment that's gonna stop the virus. My favorite part of that whole movie is at the very end where they give him his credit and they're like, Dr. Neeb or whatever his name is, sacrificed his life so that we could make a new colony. I'm like, oh my goodness. That's my favorite part of the whole movie. Like that part had me in tears. Not the whole part, not the actual sacrifice, but like the part where they start giving him his flowers and they're like talking about how he was a great guy and he was able to like fight off the virus for just long enough so that he could save humanity. That's the most beautiful part of the whole movie. And that somehow relates to um, uh, uh, obstetricians. Obstetricians. Is that the word? Obstetricians. That somehow relates to obstetricians and giving birth in some way. Oh, and getting credit. That's what it was. Yeah, getting credit. Let's add some more red to this. I also don't know why, but maybe I should save this for later. I'll say it later. It's not even that funny, but it is kind of true. Okay, okay, momentary narration. You know what? Yeah, you should go there, find the person that birthed you, and give them a big hug. Uh, Looking forward to seeing the progress. Thank you. I'm gonna try to keep it updated like every. I was gonna do every day, but I've been posting shorts about it. So if you want to see how it turns out, you can definitely look there. But thanks, momentary narration. It was good to see you. I was gonna say, um, I think I might have been brainwashed by watching too many movies because whenever it rains, I feel like it would be so cool to just be smoking outside in the rain. Even though I don't smoke, even though like I know it makes no sense, but doesn't it seem? I shouldn't even say this. Doesn't it seem kind of cool a little bit, like in a bad way? Okay, this is a very potent color, even though it's like really, even though on the palette it looks very like over here. This is the color. It looks really dull and gray, but when you put it on this face, it's like the brightest, pinkest thing. So I don't want to be too willy nilly with it. In fact, I'm gonna mix a different color that's less bright for this light highlight. Okay, let's see how this looks. Ooh, that's a beautiful. It's a really nice color. I really like when people have skin colors that are for painting at least, um, that are like really in the burnt sienna range. That's a really nice, like I don't know, it just seems so bright and vibrant. I like other skin colors too, but I'm just saying like for painting that one's really. I think just using that color in like little specks and little bits and pieces is very like calming to me. Okay, I do want to know if you are working or if you're watching this even afterwards or if you're watching this now, I guess you can comment too. Do you have any art resolutions for 2025? Because we're coming up soon on the new year. I have a lot of goals for next year. I don't think any are particularly like art skill related. Some of them are like art business related, which is similar, but let's see. There you go. It's kind of a high pressure painting for some reason. I also wanted to like delve a little bit into, maybe this is a history thing I need to read more on, but why the masters were so good in their time, even though they had such limited supplies and limited ways of getting references and limited, like we have so much more than they had back then. But it seems like, I mean, actually that's not true. I take it back. There are painters now that are much better than masters back then. But you would think there would be, well, maybe there are. Maybe I'm just not one of them. I'm coming to the realization that maybe we are better than masters. It's just not me yet. I think I have some time to catch up. I think by the time I'm like 20, no. What age do you think it takes to be a master? Like what age do you think on average? I know some people are like masters at like 10 years old, but I feel like maybe 40, if you can find a way to dedicate your life to painting, I think maybe like 46, 45. That's if you can find a way to like really live your life by painting, which is a struggle in its own right. That might even be the biggest struggle. Like aside from the learning how to paint and becoming a better painter, like just finding a way that you can do painting as a lifestyle. You know what I just realized? One of my artists, an artist I know, is having a thing tonight at 5. It's almost 5 now. Let me see. Do I think I could make it there? I probably should have just stayed. Man, okay. No, I'm getting like a crisis right now. I wasn't sure if I was going, but let me see. Well, it is raining. I don't think I should be out in the rain like this. I would have loved to go, but I don't think I should be driving in the rain as an intermediate driver. Okay, honestly, I think because we don't really have to render his face that much. This is not an illustration. This is just a painting, or not just a painting, but this is a painting, not an illustration. So the rendering could theoretically, like, we might not be that far off on the portrait today. We've been streaming for 33 minutes. Okay, I want to stream a little bit longer. Let's see. And maybe stream again tonight as well. Okay, he's supposed to be outside in the beating sun in the winter, so I think we should definitely take his highlight quite a bit brighter. Let's take, I want to go that bright. It's really easy to overestimate how bright it needs to be. So I think let's test it out. That looks good. That might even be too dark, but I'd rather have it be too dark than too bright. Okay, let's see how this looks. That's way too bright. See, I literally, yeah, I even said it was easy to overestimate, and I still overestimated. Let's try it again. That's still really bright, but that's not so offensive in my opinion. I'm going to take this value in here as well. And then he does have a highlight on his nose, which in the reference is really blown out, but I kind of like the idea of maybe just having the bump of his nose. I don't know what that's called. Is that the bump? Is that the bridge of the nose? The bump is called the bridge? Or is the bridge the length of the nose? I have no clue. Let's see. And another thing that I'm noticing is that for him being outside, he is a very warm color, which kind of doesn't make a lot of sense because our lighting would be really cool if we're outside in the winter. But that's just if we're using a camera. Maybe if we're using like our eye, we would get some of the warmth off his face. Okay, I'm gonna kind of surround his face with some dark values now. Just kind of set his face into the shawl thing. I'm gonna mix a ultramarine with some black and some green and brown and kind of round things out. Okay, let's see. Some more brown, some more green, still more brown, some more red too. Okay. Just want to make sure that it's clear that his face is a separate entity from the inside of the shawl or the inside of the cloak. I feel like shawl is something you wear on prom. Girls wear on prom. Cloak is like Lord of the Rings type, so I should start saying cloak. But shawl, cloak, same thing. Let's put a big dark value right here. And it is pretty early, so I wasn't expecting too many people to come in, but it was nice to see some of you guys stop in. And those of you guys that are watching now, uh, very thankful for you guys. Let's see. There's that big fold. So an issue I'm having is I don't know if I don't know how faithful I want to be to the reference for these folds because that I feel like could take a lot out of me if I'm really truly trying to be like fold for fold in this scenario. Also, this is really exciting. If anybody's watching this long, I'm sure you'll probably be excited about it too. Excited about it too. I recently bought a bunch of acrylic paint. So I bought like, okay, so like one of these tubes, like I use Liquitex just because it's really opaque, like first pass. Um, but if you buy them by themselves, one of those tubes is almost $20. At least the big ones that I buy are almost $20. I bought a set of like probably 60 or 70 tubes, and I bought it for like $200. So that's like $3 a piece. I don't know. The math isn't coming to me off the top of my head. But to me, that was crazy. Like, I didn't really want to spend that much money off the top of my head or off the top of like out of nowhere on a random Tuesday. But I figured it was worth it. I'm gonna buy those paints anyways. At least most of them. Although sometimes you'll see like listings for paint and it'll be like fluorescent yellow and neon green and iridescent purple. But these are colors I would never buy. There's a big fold right here that ends like this. And then all of this is all in here. Like that. This blue color. Yeah, I have a feeling this cloak will take me a while to get done. Okay, I want to find a middle value in between this like pale green and the dark blue, but not something that's not too vibrant. But it should be probably the most vibrant, like on the cloak, is the in-between areas. So like all of this in-between value. I think it should have a higher chroma than the rest of the cloak, the shadow or the light. Okay, I'm gonna come around the side with some white just to readjust the outline of the head. We got a little crazy. We got a little crazy. There we go. It feels very good to make this kind of progress today. Because I feel like today was one of those days where I was kind of doubting my painting ability. But it feels good to feel like I'm making some good progress. I think I want to take the highlight on the head a little bit more, a little bit further. I was watching, I think his name is Joe Salinas. I'm really not 100% sure. But he was doing a painting of an African American man. He was saying one thing that he noticed about people with darker skin tones is that their highlights are bigger than like a pin. Like their highlights are larger than like a like I don't know if there's a like a pinpoint highlight. I don't know even know if that's a art phrase. But when you have darker skin, the highlight takes up more like area, and it's not just a little dot. So I want to try to incorporate that. I think his name is Joe Salinas, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not completely making that up. Okay, I gotta be careful to not get carried away with these highlights. So aside from this portrait also has a horse, but aside from the horse, this is probably the most, or definitely the most difficult part of the portrait. So part of the painting. So that feels really good to have this almost out of the way. Because yeah, after this, the hardest part is going to be the horse. The landscape should be relatively simple. It's just this horse that I have to kind of imagine. Not imagine, but I have a reference for it, but the reference isn't perfect, so I want to use my brain a bit, which is good. Also, this is like a call to action. If you've been watching this long and somehow you have access to, there's a documentary about the legendary artist Robert McGinnis. I have been looking for this documentary for what seems like a year now. It's probably been more than like a couple months, but it feels like a year. Ooh, I don't know if I love this little highlight. Um, I like it. It feels like a year, but I've been looking for this documentary. It's called "The Painting the Last Rose of Summer," and I cannot find this documentary anywhere. It's like taken, like scrubbed off the internet. There's a couple like forums about the movie, about the documentary. There's like a James Gurney forum about it. There's like a couple of James Bond fan posts or something about it, but I cannot seem to find the overall documentary. So if any of you guys have seen that, I would love to know. Because I've also heard, um, well, one thing I really am trying to figure out about Robert McGinnis is whether or not he traced, not even like to hold it against him, but I just really want to know if he was that accurate in his drawings because his sketches are like scarily accurate. Um, I would like to know that. And from what I'm hearing, I think he used a projector, but I don't quite know how that incorporates into his art. But once I find that out, we're gonna level up. The second I find out if he used a projector or not, we're gonna level up. I know a lot of people think that like that stuff is cheating, using projectors and using like grids and stuff. I don't necessarily have an issue with it. Um, I think it really boils down to how I feel about my own art. Like if I feel like my art's good, then I don't really care. But the second I start doubting my artistic ability, I don't want anybody else to use projectors. I don't want anybody to trace. I don't want anybody to do. But if I feel good about my art, I don't really care. And I think that's how most people think. Like it's not really. No one really cares what someone else does. It's only if it like affects them or makes them feel a sort of kind of way. So that's my 2 cents on that subject. I also want to invest in some slow dry medium. Maybe see if that'll kind of give it a different look. This acrylic a different look. Okay, I think. Oh, how long have I been streaming? Oh, 50 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna stream for 10 more minutes, and then probably get off. And then there's a chance I might stream again tonight because I do plan to keep working on this. I just need to take a break. I've been looking at this for quite a while now. 50 minutes. There we go. Let's place this right here. I feel like this might is. I feel like this is too vibrant of a color. I think I need to dull it down. I'm gonna put some red in this green, and then add some white to dull it, to lighten it up, and then the red to dull it. There we go. That's a little duller. I like that better. Okay, we're at 5%, so we're really racing against the battery of my phone. Let's see if we can make it 8 more minutes, 7 more minutes. I used to do that a lot when I first started streaming because I had such a phone that would die or I would run out of battery so quickly. I would try to race or like just stream for as long as I could until my phone ran out of battery. I don't have that issue so much now recently, but those early streams used to be a lot like that. This goes here, this goes here, and then there's a fork kind of situation. There we go. Needs to be darker, but we'll darken that up later. Okay. I think when I get off of the stream, I should spend some time to just map out these folds and where they're actually going. I think that'll make things a lot easier as opposed to just like winging it the whole way. Yeah, that's going to be my goal for the next stream, I think. Okay, guys, I tried to make it an hour, but my phone's at 4%, so I'm going to leave the stream now. Possibly I'll stream later today, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for sticking around.